So today's class is called the Cowgirl Cut, or as its technical name might be, just a blunt shag, So we're going to shag some layers, and then we're going to bob it off there a little bit, and we'll use our razor to get all of this done. Okay, we're going to begin by sectioning. We have the hair dampened. We're going to be razor cutting today, so damp hair is definitely more pliable, will give us a lot more control over tension when we're working with that blade. So we're going to start by just separating the head from left to right. Just parting down the middle, taking ourselves all the way down the center. We'll start that right up front. Let's get right in front of that nose and then draw that line back. She's awfully tall right now. I'm going to drop her down just a moment so I can see. Bringing this line straight back. Really wanted to get into the razor. I'm all about the razor right now. And the reason is because we're really just not seeing a lot of strong razor trend cuts right now, which can only mean one thing, is that look out, watch your back, because it is probably about to arrive. We're looking for an influencer or a celebrity to debut this haircut for us, and then we're all going to be scrambling to the store to get our razor blades. Speaking of which, we'll be changing those out in just a moment. So we've got her parted down the middle. Bring her back up so we can see. We'll just take that look real quick. Now we're going to look for a place to separate the head from front to back. And a lot of times we talk about that, coming from the high point of the head and then working its way down to top of the ear, which gives us that kind of geographical location, this apex on the side of the head where the head becomes the roundest right there. But we're going to look for a different point of reference just to set ourselves up for success. And we're talking about, it lives right back here behind the ear, the so-called corner back. So I'm just going to place my comb flat against the side of the head here. And then I'll use my hand to make it flat against the center back. And where they meet is a corner, that little corner that's created. And we're going to get right in front of that place and draw a vertical line. So that's going to look something like this. It goes straight up to the top of the head, but not necessarily to the high point. Just a vertical line on that point of reference. We'll just take a clip here and put that away. So what happens here at the cornerback is that the definition of that change in direction really shows us where the back of the head is and where it becomes the side. A lot of times we deal with this area from the cornerback to the top of the ear, and we call that the back of the head. And in certain haircuts, that can definitely get us into a little bit of trouble. So let's just isolate this and put a clip on it. Just throwing those in with the legs going up. Gravity just kind of pulls that hair down in there. We'll go on the other side here. We're going to do the exact same thing. So here's that line at center back. I'm going to take my comb and just lay it flat right there. I want this to be perpendicular to this line. And so what that would mean is that if I got on top of this and then looked down, I would see this line coming down and intersecting with this line, creating perpendicular or 90 degrees, a 90-degree angle. Let's tilt her back so we can see that. I bring her back here. That comb is flat right there. We see, whoop, there it goes. And that line meets up and makes that perfect T. Just like that. Set this here, make that corner just like we did before, and get right in front of that place and draw a vertical line. So I'm going right above my finger and drawing that line down. Using the fine teeth of my comb to get good tension on the hair and just capture that and move it out of my way. We'll we'll take these two pieces and isolate them with a clip. We call this a foundational breakdown. Just a really easy way to throw the hair into natural fall vertically and give us major orientation places on the head. Got the center back right there, and here's our two corners. Moving to the side of the head. Nice and easy. Okay, we're gonna work our way around back here and begin to bring down a perimeter. So if any of you are looking up what a cowgirl cut is right now, it seems to be that it has a nice heavy line at the bottom, but then a lot of internal texture, and so when we think of shag layers, there's going to be a lot of movement that's happening through here. We're going to make ours a little bit longer today. And only because I'm running this show, and when I was looking up pictures of it, the ones I liked best were a little heavier at the bottom, and so golly, that's what we're going to do. All right, so bringing this down, and we're going to section off approximately at the O bone here, occipital bone. We're going to take our perimeter here in two quick sections because we want to texturize, but sometimes if we work with too many sections creating texture, that texture can sometimes get a little bit lost, or it doesn't make as bold a statement as maybe we would like. So we're going to knock this out in two sections. Get that hair up and out of the way. All right. And she's just starting to dry out a little bit, so I'm going to mist her down. Yeah, we have a new water bottle. I'm actually going to take a second to talk about it because a water bottle is truly the unsung hero of the salon. Truly, we don't really notice how wonderful and necessary they are until it's not working or missing, and then the rage that we can feel. So we're very excited. We have a new water bottle, and we actually partnered with the people who originated this misting technology. They're actually called Flaresol, and that little logo proves it. It's right there on the bottle. So this patented technology definitely gives a really nice continuous mist and doesn't drag on for days after you release the trigger like some of the others. So I'm super stoked to have this back and to have it in the salon. So hope you guys can get one. We're going to put a blade in our razor now. Just going to take the dispenser that comes with it. They're actually designed for you just to be able to place the handle on there, slide it down the blade, and boom, off you go. Not a lot of contact there. No risk of hurting yourself. So razor cutting, I'd love to expound upon that a little bit. There's truly not that much to know about it, except that it is a knife that we are using to cut hair. And how do I hold it? What's the right blade angle? All of these questions. It truly is, I have to say, a bit of personal discovery. The blade angle, if this was the surface of the hair, then your blade angle is going to be, approximately 30 to 45 degrees in there. But your body and the hair will definitely let you know if that's working or not. If you're too perpendicular to the hair, you're going to get a lot of scraping of cuticle. If you are too parallel, then nothing's going to happen. So I'm bringing this down with the fine teeth of my comb, good tension. And I want this to kind of live just under the jaw there. So I'm giving myself a little bit of room to play. And I'm going to take this thing and just hold it loosely like a pencil. Like I'm just going to write a letter with it. And it gives me just a nice loose grip. I'm not death gripping this, but I am death gripping the hair. The tension happens here, so this can be loose and nice and easy. So we want to create a semblance of a blunt line somewhere in this range. And so I'm going to work with nice short strokes. Short strokes are kind of work a little bit similar to point cutting. That they give you a moderate bit of texture there. Without leaving the ends too wispy. A longer stroke works from deeper in the interior of the sections and really skinnies those ends out quite a lot. So the shorter stroke is going to give me a blunter feeling perimeter. We'll move across to the next section. Just like before, fine teeth of the comb, working that in good tension. This is where the cuts happen. So I'm going to bring myself down a little bit, give myself some room to play. And then once again, scan across with short strokes. I love these guarded razors because I can actually, touch my skin with it without hurting myself. I also work with, naked razors or straight edge blades, and you don't mess around with those. You want to definitely be careful. So if you're new to razor cutting, definitely begin with something like this and give yourself those mechanics of how to do that. We're going to tilt on around here, left side. We'll remove this clip, and we're just going to continue our parting here, which is above the ear, giving us enough hair to drop down for our perimeter. Take the rest of this, just roll that up, put it away. Just like that. Bringing this down. And we started over here, so we're going to work our way forward. Just take enough that I can work with in one hand. Work into that second knuckle. Why the second knuckle, do they say? And that's just because we start to lose tension after we pass that point. Everyone's got that little gap in their fingers. A lot of times with razor cutting, you'll leave behind some survivors, I call them. Just go back and pick them up. Coming on around here, just like so. Give myself a little room. And that gives us a nice little chewy bit of texture there at the bottom. Move on over here. Taking the same thing. We're going to continue this parting right across. A little bit more of that. Just want to make sure that I'm dropping down enough hair to where I get a full view of the perimeter here. No gaps there behind the ear. Okay. Once again, bring this down. Grab it with good tension. Give myself some room to play. And then scan across. Definitely become friendly with your razor. You never know when someone's going to ask for it. And I think we're going to begin seeing more cuts like that pretty soon. I've been saying it for like 5 years too. So trends kind of move a little more slowly than they used to. I was talking about that with someone the other day. That social media put trends back into the control of the hairdresser, essentially, and the guest. We decide what's going to be in trend now. It used to be fashion editors that would tell us every fall with a special release of their magazine. All right, dropping down these back two sections. Working that fine tooth. Bring this down. Notice that I'm not moving it side to side. I'm not over directing. Just bringing it down with good tension. And I can see where I cut before underneath that. We're going to go past that. Give ourselves some room to play. Good tension in the hand that holds the hair. Loose tension in the razor hand. And then we scan. And we'll just bring it back down and rescan the other way. It doesn't take long for a razor blade to start to go out on you. So if you start to feel like, I call it the blade gets chatty, it doesn't sound as smooth on the hair anymore. It sounds raspy, and you feel, that you're not getting as effective of a cut as you did a minute ago. So it may be time to change that razor. Yeah, it's getting chatty. So after this section, we're going to pause and then make a sanitary razor change. Cool. Just like we did before. And I'm showing you this because I would advise, show your guest, the container that it comes with has a little slot there for the ones that you don't need anymore. So you just pop that in there and slide it out, and then you can just tap that in, and it's in there now to be disposed of. And then we'll just re-up the blade with a freshie. I like to let my guests see that because they know, that I'm conscientious, I'm not trying to hurt anybody, that I'm not using a dull blade on the hair. I really do believe 8 out of 10 times when we're having a problem with a razor, it is usually because we haven't changed the blade enough. 1 blade per haircut, for sanitary reasons, of course. And then also, just to keep it sharp, you might actually go through more than 1. Here we are on the left side. You see the hair hanging that we're going to cut. We're just going to take sections that are small enough for us to work with. Once again, good tension here. Bring this on around. And just following that perimeter. And once again, hold your razor loosely. But put good tension on the hair. Now we're getting up to the front where the fringe lives. So we're gonna actually, the hair is not worn over the eye like that. She is going to push it aside and wear it off the eye a little bit. As we know, nobody wears it right there. So we're gonna kind of trick this a little bit, in that we're gonna bring this over and we're gonna take a clip and isolate it there. So still in natural fall, but with this very realistic turn, bringing the hair over to here. So now we're gonna take as much tension as this will let us without yanking the clip out. Pretty good. And we'll make our cut. Nice and easy, short strokes with the razor. Good tension on the hair. And light tension with the hand holding the razor. There we go. Moving around to the other side. The same thing's going to happen over here. When we get up to the front, we're going to allow this hair to kind of blouse around the eye and be in a place where it would naturally live. So there, we got this all combed down, and we'll take a section that we can work with. Bring this down. Cool. Coming on around the bend. Here we go. Once again, let's bust this over. And then we'll isolate that with a clip. Just keep that right there. Get as good tension as I can on this. Hopefully my blade is nice and sharp now. Nice short strokes. Because we want to, shred the ends a little bit, but we don't want to obliterate them. We still want to have a good sense of substance at the bottom of the cut. Take out any little survivors that are left. And this mild bit of over direction that we created right there will result in a slight increase of length that happens, just in front of the eye. And if I comb this down, you'll see that it does kind of dip down a little bit right there. And it'll do the same thing on the other side. If this had been cut very blunt, then we would definitely see that little point of exaggerated length right there. Right. Oh, someone mentioned that, it would be nice to have a live model. And I definitely work with live models on the regular. But when it comes to education, I do honestly prefer the mannequin. It allows me to go in pretty much any direction I want. With live models, it can be hard to teach with them. They are great for presentations where the haircut is not going to change one little bit from start to finish. We have a signed agreement in advance about every single thing I'm going to do, and I cannot deviate from that. So if someone in the room or someone out there on the webs had a question, what if you chopped her bangs into something like this? With the mannequin, I have her permission. With a live model, not always. But yeah, we'll take that under advisement. Bring some live models into the action from time to time. All right, let's pop some layers on this. We're gonna leave length at the bottom. So we're gonna elevate the hair pretty high to the vertical 90, if you will. But we're going to take our sections horizontally to build a little more weight through the haircut in this area. So I've got that section once again from the corner back going forward. I'm gonna just throw the back up in a clip real quick so it doesn't get in our way again. So here's where we are. And what we want to do now up top is take a guide. So right here from about the high point of the head, we can take some length or take a piece of length and just imagine, where we would like that to sit, if we were looking at her. Whereabouts would we want that layer to break out and then allow everything to kind of go shagadelic underneath it there. So I'm thinking right about here. So we're going to take this little bit of hair and cut a guide. Don't lose it. So got this now. Throw a clip on it for a second. You want to keep it. And what we're going to do is we're going to elevate this hair horizontally. I'm going to go right from the corner of the eye there and just take this entire side of the head at once. Just like that. We're going to bring this up. Just like this. And we're going to hold it here, like so, and bringing that whole section up horizontally. Just like that. You can drop her down just a little bit. There we go. And so where we're going to stop with the elevation is at the center line. So we'll bring everything up to this point. Now I am going to drop the mannequin just a little bit more. So for the moment, your view will just be the top of the head, but where the action is up here. And I really want to show you that because we're going to take a different kind of body position when we cut this from underneath with a razor. So why am I showing you this? And it is because if you ever think you're going to want to cut with a straight razor that has no guard, then this will be something that is beneficial to know. So it will help you get in a good place and not hurt yourself. So elevating this up, I'm going to turn towards you so you can see what's happening. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to take the razor and we're going to hold it to where the blade is pointing up. And we're going to move this way from underneath. So it's like 1,000 squat challenge. We're going to get kind of low. We're going to get underneath and work our way through. This is an essential way of doing this if you ever think that you're going to want to cut with a straight razor. So elevating up, stopping at about the center line. Here's my guide from before. Don't want to lose that. And I'm just going to bring it up here so I get an orientation for length. Right about there is where I want to be. And so now one last combing for good tension. And just like before, I want to give myself a little bit of grace underneath here, and I can begin to make my cut. But notice that I'm not touching my hand with it. Just getting underneath and working it across like that. Now that's going to give us a pretty nice layer. And we can see where that just kind of dials out, leaving plenty of bulk to live down here at the bottom and preserve that perimeter. A lot of times, if you're getting off the shoulder, just under the jaw, if you don't leave some substance at the bottom, the cut's gonna really hug around the face and then get that little flip action that happens at the bottom. Some people do not like that, and that is why they say Don't do that to me. All right, let me bring her back up again so we can see our sections. And once again, we're going to work that same idea that we did a moment ago. From the center line to the side, find that corner right there. And once again, we're going to draw that vertical line on top of it. And we're going to take that and just feed it into the clip at the back of the head. So that gives us this section, just like that. All right, our guide once again is right about there, just giving us that reference for length. And we're going to work from about the corner of the eye and take this whole section at once, just like we did on the other side. Nice, fast haircut. You know, the texturization of the razor really gives us a lot of permission to work with condensed sectioning or really large sections at once. Bringing that down again so we can see that. And once, like we did before, here's my guide, just kind of showing me where I need to be. I'll feed that into the mix. And when I see that guide slip out, I know I'm in the right spot. This is too much to work with at once, as you can see, way beyond that second knuckle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subdivide this a little bit and just put this right here for a second. So now I've got some hair that I can actually work with. Bring this up with good tension. I saw my guide drop out. Once again, holding the blade so it's going up and getting underneath. Then I can pick this up again if I dropped any of it. And now take my rest of my section. And I'm looking for where that length bails out. Get underneath it, blade going up like this. Raising the roof, as someone once said. Do we still say that? Probably not. Bringing all the old school expressions out. I was a child of the 90s, and so, you know, the 90s are ironically cool once again. So I'm a fountain of knowledge of pop culture and books and music from the 90s. So I can say with some of the younger stylists in the salon where I work, I'm kind of like cool all over again. Old guys still got it. Will this cut work with textured hair? I always say yes to all questions like that because, you know, with some evaluation and some planning, you most definitely can. I've heard people say you should never cut coarse or unruly hair or fine hair with a razor, and there's all these rules about it. But I'm here to tell you, I've been cutting hair for 20 years, and anytime I hear someone say something like that, I immediately go and try it. And what I've learned is with evaluation, the right stroke length, proper tension, and then also just anticipating how the hair is going to behave when you release that tension, right? So, you know, weighing all of these factors definitely makes just about anything possible. So try it, please do. And let us know how it goes. Do it at someone while you're in school because they can't do anything back to you if they don't like it. So take advantage of that. Would you leave out the perimeter if you wanted to create a shag cut with as much length as possible? Sure. In fact, the elevation that we were just doing where we carried all of that hair so far up, we probably could have a perimeter hanging somewhere around here, and that wouldn't even make it to the cutting position. So, you know, we took off the perimeter first because we knew it was important and we wanted it to be in a certain place. But if we were just looking for something that just was like open and shagged out at the bottom, by all means, just leave it longer. Yeah. Cool. Awesome questions. Thanks, everybody. It really does feed the program when you guys play. And by guys, I mean beautiful people. Let me drop this down a little bit. Here we are at the back of the head. And I'm just going to throw a couple clips on the sides here and get it out of our way. We've got the section that comes from cornerback on one side and cornerback on the other. And I've dropped her down just so I can get my little short self under there and cut these. And she's looking a little parched. So let's just get that in there. Here's our guide from before, right there. And we're doing the exact same thing we did before. We're bringing this hair up horizontally and we're going to stop when we hit that center line right there. So it's not an over-directed layer, but elevated pretty high. And there's where we're going to cut. Once again, getting underneath it, blade going up. I felt one escape. There we go. There's still a couple left. We'll get them. There we go. And that section is done. We're going to grab the other one and do the exact same thing. Haircutting is fun. You know, it can get a little repetitive. I think that's why we talk to our guests, you know? We got to fill the silence somehow. Bringing this up, getting underneath it. Here we go. Damn. Nice and easy. You know, when I was looking up information on the Cowgirl Cut, you know, the first descriptions said that it had what was called an invisible fringe. You know, so I looked at a bunch of pictures, and what that seems to indicate, based upon my research, is that there's just a little tiny bit of framing that happens like right in the middle, almost like a money piece fringe. So we're going to do that. Close your eyes, man. I'm going to give you a little moisture. Okay. Now the fringe section anatomically lives at the corner of the eye and goes up vertically. So let's look at that from the profile. So right there, the corner of the eye, and if this line moves vertically, you see how short that section is. You know, a lot of times we'll carry a fringe section from the corner of the eye to the high point of the head. But if you look at that curve, you know, then you're going to tell that some of this hair that is getting pulled over here to be bangs or fringe actually wants to live over here. And if it isn't styled just so, then this hair will be over here kind of flapping around on you. So if you're going to do that, if you're going to direct hair from the side of the head forward to be fringe, make sure that you have that dialogue with your guest and let them know you got to do it like this, or you're going to look like a weirdo. So we're going to start right there at the center line, and we'll take a guide. And it's going to be pretty short. So we're going to make this a pretty short little fringe section. Doesn't actually achieve length to the corner of the eye. I'm going to leave that out. So kind of like a mini bang. We'll put this up here. You remember the hoopla that went on about not saying the word bang because, you know, there is a certain euphemistic connotation to it? Well, I say enough's enough. I'm bringing it back. I don't think anyone's going to be offended by that in this day and age. So just bringing this back a little bit. Check this out. We've got two little sections right there. That's the beginning of the fringe section. That's the end of it. So you've seen me do this before, I'm sure. I take a guide and I take a guide. We'll put this away. So this will be the longest part of the bang. This will be the shortest part. And we'll just kind of decide where we want that to be. Hello, how does that look? And then we'll cut a guide. There's the beginning. And give me something that stops just under the jaw. There's the end. So setting those two guides, now I can drop this length into it and make the cut. So all I have to do is connect those two. I like this little technique because it kind of removes all of the mystery about, you know, where am I supposed to stand when I do this? Do I need to over direct this? Right now, we can just cut this right where it lives. There's my first guide. There's where it rolls out. And I'll give it just a skosh of elevation for softness. And then we're just going to softly work our way down. Like before, good tension on the hair, loose on the razor hand. And now we can see our invisible fringe sitting right there. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So just like before, on this side, there's a beginning piece and there is an ending piece. And then we'll take the rest, just stick it up there for a moment. Do they have to be totally symmetrical, negative. Most people's faces are not. So don't promise that. Promise visual balance. But I don't say it's going to matchy-match on both sides. You know, the human body just doesn't really do that. Visual balance, and you might say, hey, if it looks good on one side, and if it looks good on the other side, they should look good together. Dropping this in, and let's just cut it down where it lives, like we did on the other side. A skosh bit of elevation, just so we don't hurt anybody. There's where the guide rolls out, and we can make our cut. It takes us to the bottom. And that completes our cut. We're going to do a little bit of styling just to show. A lot of the common denominators of trend cuts these days are that it has to be easy. It has to be lived in. It has to be effortless. And so in the salon, I'm experimenting with kind of doing that. Like, I'm not half-assing my blowout by any stretch, but I am making it simple so they can observe and that they can be inspired, hopefully, to do what I'm doing. So here's how we're going to roll this out. Got 2 brushes we're going to use. 9-row brush, or what they call a row brush. They come in different configurations, but this is a big one, 9 rows. We're going to work the root with that a little bit. We're going to work the ends for polish with this boar bristle brush, and we're not going to do a lot. So I'm going to start by just kind of juicing it, rough drying for a few seconds, and then I'm going to introduce the round brush for tension and shine on the ends, and then we're just going to let this root be loose. So I'm going to put on a little music, I think. All right. We can't stand there and do it all day long, but I wanted you to get the idea behind the styling on this, is that it's very handsy, which I think translates really well to the guest. I can't tell you how many of my guests, and I've had some of them for 20 years, I still fight with them. And I've evolved as well, so if you're doing a lot of brushes and a lot of technique during your styling, a lot of times it can actually be a bit of a turnoff to the client or the guest, because they're like, I can never do that. I'm a wash and go person. I don't pick up a hot tool, which is good and bad, but it forces us to adapt. And so just bringing her in a little bit so we can have a nice look. Nice, easy going fringe, not a lot to it, and just easy length. Layers that have kind of a soft movement. I like the heaviness at the bottom. That's very in right now. We're not seeing a lot of round as much as we are kind of blunted off, square, if you want to call it that too. There it is. Awesome. So right here, this model. Foundational breakdown. Remember, we identified that corner back. What's great about that point of reference is that it truly defines, where the side of the head is versus the back. That was really crucial to how we did things today. Same thing here. We had center line, and then on either side of that, those cornerbacks. The razor stroke from today, mostly working kind of a shorter stroke. Just remember, if you go deeper in the stroke, here's the head, here's some hair. If we are taking short strokes, we're really just kind of affecting those ends. But bear in mind, you can go much deeper, but things start getting a lot skinnier out here. So if you really want to see some shredded texture, go deeper with your stroke. And we took a nice clean perimeter there, just worked our way across to the jawline. And then remember, we took these big sections here and elevated everything up horizontally to where we were able to cut with the razor. Nice and easy cut. Don't overdo your styling. Have a little fun with that. Italian and French bobs are kind of owning, and I'm thinking a lot of bob trends are just kind of vamping off of those ideas. So yes, the Cowgirl Cut. Hope that you guys enjoyed that today.